Good morning, everybody. First and foremost, I just want to wish all the moms and grandmothers out there a happy belated Mother's Day. I hope you had a very good day with your families. I hope they honored you, took care of you, maybe took you out to eat, maybe you had a home-cooked meal where somebody else did the cooking or got some takeout or whatever. But I hope you all you moms and grandmoms out there, I hope you all had a very nice day, as much as you possibly could anyway, depending upon the weather, where you live, the circumstances and whatnot. For me, for my family, we were highly blessed. Let's just put it that way. The Father gave us great weather. It was like the forecast changed specifically for yesterday. It was awesome. The sun was out. The temperature was great. There was a nice cool breeze. My wife and I were just amazed. It's like, wow. We were just thanking the Lord for such a wonderful day weather-wise, as well as just the day overall. Spending time with the family, my folks, and just having great conversation, just catching up with each other. Hadn't seen my folks in a while. It was just a really, really great day. Very grateful, very thankful for it. So it's just like, wow. And today looks like it's pretty good too so far. So I'm just thankful, just grateful for how the Father blesses us with not only this awesome weather, but just with everything, our health and just just everything. What can you say? Just the food that we have to eat, the clothes we have to wear, the shelter over our heads. Everything. Just feel very grateful, very thankful. So, hey, I know that's not the way it is in a lot of places, and I'm very well aware of that. I know the weather's been terrible. I know it continues to be that way, not only in this country, but in other countries. And I think the reason I'm kind of expounding on this as much as I am is because the day before was very interesting on Saturday morning. And some people probably know what I'm referring to. Maybe you felt it, or you had family members that did, or I don't know. But kind of unusual for this area. I would say, I didn't really look it up on a map, but a town called Greenback, Tennessee, which I would say is probably about an hour and a half from where we live, there was an earthquake, and it was significant. It was a 4.1. I made a mistake when I posted on it. I thought they had downgraded it to a 3.5, but actually they upgraded it, which is also kind of unusual because most of the time it's a downgrade when these things happen, but they upgraded it from like a 3.5 to a 4.1 from what I understand. Pretty significant. Haven't had that happen for quite a while in this area. Now, I know that there were some happening in Virginia and Ohio, and earthquakes happen all over the world all the time. I know that. The earth is shaking constantly. But most of the time, it's like a 2 or a 3 or something. And a lot of people don't even feel it or notice it. They know it's happening. But this one, it got some people's attention. People felt it in South Carolina, certain areas of South Carolina. Where was it? I think it was Fairmont, I believe it was called, North Carolina. Of course, in certain areas of Tennessee, or was it Georgia? Maybe it's Fairmont, Georgia, I think it was. So Northeast Georgia area. People felt it, and personally, I did not, because at the time that it happened, I don't know what time it was, between like 9 and 11 a.m. Saturday morning Eastern, something like that. I don't know the exact time. It was in the morning, because I was waiting for the the morning dew to dry, for the grass to be dried enough so I can mow the lawn. And I was sitting on the couch at the time, and my wife was in the laundry room, and she felt it under her feet. She's like, "Did we just have an earthquake?" I was like, maybe. I didn't feel anything. She goes, "No, I'm pretty sure the I'm pretty sure there was movement under my feet. I'm pretty sure the ground shook. Oh, really? Okay. So it was very brief, but looked it up and everything. Sure enough, 4.1 earthquake was registered about an hour and a half from where we live. I was like, wow. And then my folks who live about an hour from us, they felt it too. You know, my wife contacted my mom, and I was like, okay, well, this is interesting. This is an interesting way to start out the weekend. Kind of unexpected, a little surprising. So when that happened, it wasn't a major topic of conversation, but people made some videos about it. You know, Mr. MBB333, whatever anybody thinks about him, I'm not here to discuss that, you know, but he just did, and I'm sure there were some other people. I really didn't pay attention that much to weekend news because, like I said, it was about spending time with family yesterday. Had to get some things done in the yard and everything on Saturday. A little busy, not horribly busy. Spent some time with my wife and daughter Saturday night, you know, kind of had like a movie night kind of thing. Just kind of relaxed and just mellowed out and so forth. But I did have an interesting conversation with someone that I'm not going to mention their name because I don't like to mention people's names I have conversations with. I mean, it's not important and it's kind of private. But if I did tell people the name, they would know exactly who I was talking about. But I don't talk to them on the phone very often. It's been actually quite a while, and it's probably not who you're thinking of if anybody listens to me for any length of time or what have you. You know, people that I regularly talk to that people might know or that may not regularly talk to, but I talk to every so often that are on social media, have YouTube channels, platforms, ministries, or what have you. But anyway, we had an interesting conversation about this on Saturday afternoon, and let's just say that we both came into an agreement about something, and I mentioned it to my wife earlier. We had a conversation about it too, and it has to do with this week. And I don't know if people are aware of what is planned for this week on the geopolitical scale, but it's kind of an interesting week. Because I guess it's on the 15th. I'm going to go ahead first and back. I guess the 15th, there's supposed to be a meeting between Putin and Zelensky. So is that going to happen? I don't know. But it's supposed to be a meeting trying to come to some type of truce, I guess. Maybe. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if it'll be successful or not. Most likely, probably not. And I'll get into why I think that in a second. But that's supposed to happen. That's scheduled, okay? But the one that intrigues me even more is Trumpty Dumpty there is supposed to go to the Middle East region this week and meet with several different, leaders and whatnot. And I don't know exactly what they're going to discuss, decide, whatever else. But I find the timing of the earthquake and its location and the fact that he is supposed to be meeting with leaders and so forth in the Middle East this week on the 14th, I believe it is. Don't quote me on that, but could be later than that, earlier than that. I don't know the exact itinerary. Okay, but around that time frame, sometime this week, I find it very interesting. And the person I was talking on the phone with, they did too. So some people say, man, you guys are way out there. Conspiracy theory, coincidence, has nothing to do with anything. No connection whatsoever. Fair enough. People are entitled to their own opinion, their own beliefs. They can think whatever they want to think. I'm not here to change anybody's mind, convince anybody of anything. I'm just talking to you. I'm just explaining a conversation I had with a friend where we kind of agreed on this. It goes back to May 14th, really, 1948, okay, was when Israel technically became a nation. And I know immediately people are like, so what? Doesn't matter, doesn't mean anything, not relevant. You know, that's all in the past, ancient history. I know. The reason I know is because when I had my other channel, this was one of the most controversial topics that you can make people so divided and angry over that they will literally leave the channel, leave all kinds of explanations, try to educate people, really stand their ground on this topic regarding Israel and its, how do you say it? Its placement in biblical prophecy, I guess. Its meaning, its importance. Some people think that it's incredibly important. Other people think it's completely irrelevant. Some people don't care, one way or the other. You know. But the reason I'm talking about this is I wondered in my spirit, and I shared this with a friend, and with my friend I was talking to on the phone, and they agreed with me. I said, I wonder if this is like a shot across the bow, like an early warning signal or something. You know, because of the location of the earthquake. Now, granted, it's still a few hundred miles from the New Madrid fault line, you know, in Middle Tennessee, okay? But yet, still in the same state, you know, in the quake happened in the Northeast Tennessee region. And I just couldn't help but think, this week, there's that trip to the Middle East, and who knows what's going to be discussed, decided, you know, what's going on here. I mean, and I have heard rumors, for lack of a better term, people put out videos, some information on, you know, a two-state solution, a Palestinian state, and so forth. Now, I'm not saying that anything is going to happen like that this week, okay? I honestly don't know. But we've also heard about the Abraham Accords and the Noahide laws and all of this stuff. It's been not necessarily in the real media, you know, over the last few weeks or whatever, but people have made videos on it. They've discussed it. They've done studies on it. Depends on who you subscribe to, who you listen to. You know, things pop up on your feed or whatever. Israeli News Live, for instance, is one of them. Other people, they've talked about it. Some people more obscure, some people, you know, more well-known. The Abraham Accords and Noahide laws and so forth. And I'm just thinking to myself, and like I said, I have heard rumblings about a Palestinian state. I know that this is the time of the counting of the Omer. Started in like middle April 13th or something, goes to like June 1st or something like that. So I'm just curious. I'm just wondering. I'm like, And then I started thinking, and I've mentioned this again on the other channel, again, a dividing topic. I understand that. Not here to divide people, not here to anger people, not here to get people to see one thing one way or the other. I'm just telling you what I think, okay? And, you know, the conversation, part of the conversation I have with a friend on the phone, where I started thinking about the other times in history where, in recent history actually, where a leader, a president or what have you, has done something against Israel, and it appeared the father didn't like it, okay? And it usually had to do with some type of either action or speaking or implementation plan about getting Israel to give up some of its land. And I know, like I said, people were like, whatever, doesn't mean anything. And like I said, the reason I'm being so facetious about this in certain ways and going on about it is because I remember very, very clearly how angry this topic made people. You know, they get really angry over it. And I'm not here to do that. I'm just telling you what history has said, has revealed, I should say, in the past regarding this. I'm going back to a book written by William Koenig. You could probably even find it at the library by now. It's so old. But anyway, where he literally did a study, a scientific study. He researched, and not just scientific, but just historical study. And he has found, at the time of the writing of that book, I think it was 13 different occasions where in history where the United States has done something against the land of Israel, something that we shouldn't have done, treated them in a way that displeased the Father, that there was action that was taken, and it did not take long. It was like immediate action, usually within a day to like 4 days later. Okay, like immediate action. And it was documented over and over and over and over. So it seems like there's some type of connection there. No matter what people think about Israel, no matter what they think about Netanyahu, or no matter what they think about, what Israel does, doesn't do, and so forth and so on. I get it, okay? I don't agree with everything that Israel does and how they respond to things and how they treat people and, the Palestinians and Gaza. Listen, I have my own opinions on that too, okay? I'm not saying I support every single thing. I do know, though, that I will not speak out publicly against Israel. I do know that. I won't do that. If other people want to, that's fine. That's between you and the Father. Whatever. You use your channel however you want to use it, your social media sites, whatever. Say whatever you want. That's between you and God, okay? Me personally, I don't. I'm not saying anything, okay? Mum's the word, man. I'm just like, I'm Switzerland in this situation, okay? I don't say anything publicly, all right? I just observe. I just watch and I observe. And whatever I agree with or don't agree with, I keep to myself. That's between me and the Father. I keep it in my heart. I don't mention anything publicly, okay, about it. So I just stay away from all of it. But I do notice and have noticed that in the past, it appears that when we've done something against Israel in some way that the Father does not like, we pay. Didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it works. We do. We pay. And the one that comes up to me the most, it's like forefront in my mind, and there are many others. I mean, since that time he's written a book, it's probably like in the high teens or 20s that we've done something against Israel. And most of the time, and we've paid for it, but most of the time people probably wouldn't pay attention to it. They probably wouldn't make the connection, the 2 and 2 connection equaling 4 or whatever. They probably wouldn't connect the dots on it. They figure one doesn't have to do with the other. It's coincidence. It's conspiracy theory. It has nothing to do with anything. Well, but here's one that people cannot deny. They can deny the connection if they want, whether they believe there's a connection or not. But what they cannot deny is that Hurricane Katrina happened. Okay? Now, since that time, we've had major disasters that if you add them all up, they probably equal Katrina. But Katrina is the one that I think really got everyone's attention. And I mean, in a major way. Like I said, since that time, I'm not taking away from all of the horrible hurricanes, even last year, Helene and Milton, and before that with Michael. And I'm not taking away from all the devastation and flooding and damage and everything else. And I don't know if that had anything to do with Israel or not, to be quite honestly. I didn't research it. I don't know. I don't know if one thing had to do with the other. But I do know Katrina did. At least it appears it did. And I'll tell you why. Because if you go back and you look at Katrina and how it started, it was nothing at first. It was a system that the meteorologists were looking at, but didn't think it was going to come to anything. So they just kind of noticed it was out there. It was kind of hanging out there, but it wasn't nothing. Didn't develop into anything until President George W. at the time, decided it would be a good idea to have some Jewish settlements in Gaza bulldozed. You can look it up yourself. You research it yourself. It's in the book. Research it yourself. And after that happened, that's when Katrina began to develop. And I guess it took like maybe 4 days. And New Orleans is underwater. Now, some people will say that is absolute BS or whatever. That is total coincidence. That is just conspiracy theory garbage. You're entitled, okay? And if it was just one event, I would say, yeah, you might be right. That's really, really interesting. And it may not, that's just pretty wild. But when it happens repeatedly over and over and over again, and like I said, as outlined in the book by William Koenig, I don't think I gave you the title, Eye to Eye it's called. You know, it's kind of like you see a pattern of things, you start to kind of scratch your head like, man, there may be something to this. I mean, this is happening repeatedly over and over and over again. And I said, a lot of times people wouldn't even pay attention to it. They wouldn't think hardly anything of it because it's not a big deal. You know, it's just like, whatever, you know. I mean, life goes on. I get it. Life goes on, you know. We're in May, like I said, you know, the other day in a video, you know. Got high school graduations, college graduations coming up, summer season coming up, you know. Hollywood blockbusters being released over Memorial Day weekend, you know. Memorial Day weekend, you know, which shouldn't be about what people make it about. Hence the word memorial, you know, but that's when people will go on picnics and cookouts and brick their boat out in the water. I get it. Life goes on. We're in America. As long as the weather's fine, as long as people have the time off, the days off, the party goes on. I get it. I completely and totally understand. I'm an American. I understand summer. I understand vacations. Well, not really vacations. Don't have those. But I understand summer. I understand weekends. I understand the nice weather. I get it. I completely understand, okay? But the thing about it is, though, when you look at things like this and the timing of it all, and this particular week, I have to wonder if something is done, decided, or said, and it's really, really stupid, and it hurts Israel, it hurts the Lord, or whatever else, and we have some dumb leader out there that does something that God doesn't like. Am I saying the new Madrid's going to go off? No, I am not. What I believe, though, is that this was a shot across the bow. And while everybody's partying and planning their Memorial Day holiday celebrations and you know, high school and college, you know, graduations and everything else, don't be surprised if somebody does something stupid, okay, if we get hit in some way. I'm not saying it's going to be the new Madrid. I don't know. But isn't it interesting that it happened in Tennessee, a few hundred miles away from the new Madrid fault line? And it just so happens just before Trumpty Dumpty makes his trip to the Middle East. I find that very intriguing. And if you look back in history at the other times, sometimes, like I said, it's not like it's major devastation. It's not like it's damage. It's not like it's death and violence and chaos, right, or anything of that nature. Sometimes it's embarrassing. Sometimes it's like one of the times, apparently the Clinton administration, regime, whatever you want to call it, they snubbed, you know, Israeli leaders or whatever when they probably shouldn't have, embarrassed them, humiliated them or whatever. Well, in turn, that's when the Monica Lewinsky scandal broke. Shortly after that. You can look it up for yourself. I mean, those are the two that come to mind, but there's many others too. And a lot of times it has had to do with tropical storms, hurricanes, you know, other devastation. A lot of times it has had to do with that. So just something to keep in mind this week. If something is done or said or decided that's really stupid, whether it's publicly known or whether it's behind closed doors, a backroom deal or whatever, because the Father knows and sees all, and if he doesn't like it, and if he knows what's going to happen before it's going to happen anyway, and if this was a shot across the bow, then we've been warned this last weekend, on this Saturday the 10th, that we could get hit with something major, could be disastrous, could be devastating, could even happen this upcoming week. I don't know. It's possible is all I'm saying. It's a possibility. And if it's bad enough that they push a two-state solution, a Palestinian state, whatever, and they sign documents, agreements, or what, I don't think anything that's going to happen. I really don't. I think it would be really pushing it. It would just be a time constraint. I don't think any of that's going to happen. I don't. But if it did, there are many prophecies out there, and I do believe in this particular one, that if we divide Israel, if we do something to make Israel give up their land, and we're responsible for that, and their land is divided, then I believe our land will be divided. And if people want to look at the history of the New Madrid fall, it goes back to like 1811 with Tecumseh and so forth. Very, very interesting, very fascinating that the earthquake happened, the New Madrid fall earthquake happened at the time that Tecumseh's people, they were slaughtered. And he wanted revenge. He vowed revenge. And it's like he prophesied at the time that the earth would shake. And it did. Now, whether people want to believe that or not, look it up. It's historical. The History Channel even did something on it, okay? Whether people want to believe it or not, I find it fascinating. I find it very interesting, okay? So, you know, there are times where we push God's buttons, the Father's buttons, to a point where he is going to respond and react in a way that we may not expect and definitely will not like. And I'm not saying it's going to be the New Madrid, but it could be something else. It could be an earthquake somewhere else, or it could be some other devastation, some other damage. I don't know. Or it could be nothing at all. I have no idea. God is sovereign. He can do whatever he wants to do or not do. All right. All I'm saying is there is a pattern that goes back years. I think it went back like 1960s or something. Years. And like I said, 1811, I believe it was, with Tecumseh. You know, if people want to go back that far and they want to look into the New Madrid quake that caused the Mississippi to run backwards and made the Liberty Bell ring and everything. That's crazy, man. You know, it's crazy stuff. But it's happened so long ago, and we've gotten so comfortable in our life now, especially in America, we don't think anything like that is possible or could happen. And like I said, I'm not saying it will this week or anytime in the near future. I don't know. But the possibility exists of something. If something is decided, some backroom deal, whether it's made public or not, something is decided that the Lord doesn't like, that has something to do with Israel giving up land, or something to do with, you know, affecting Israel in a way that the Father doesn't like. And like I said, I do not support everything that Israel says and does, but I keep that to myself, okay? I am not going to come out publicly and, you know, accuse and say this and say that, and I'm not doing it, okay? Because one, I'm not that smart, okay? Because I don't understand everything that goes on the political scene and geopolitical scene and all of these things. I don't know, okay? I know what I hear, I know what I believe, I know what I read, but I'm not going to come out publicly and bash Israel and, you know, and say anything against that particular land. I just won't do it. And other people's like, well, you know, whatever, I'll do it, and I'll say what I want to say, and if God tells me I can say this, and God told me I can say, you go for it, man. Me personally, not me. I'm not saying nothing, okay? But I observe, I watch, I see what might happen. I look at the patterns, and I see what has happened in the past, and I'm just like, I am definitely intrigued by this week. I am definitely watching May 14th beyond, May 15th, you know, when Putin and Zelensky maybe get together. I'm watching. I am definitely watching this week, because I personally believe in my spirit that was a shot across the bow to tell America, to tell our leaders, don't do it. Whatever you plan to do, whatever you are thinking about saying, whatever dumb thing's going to come out of your mouth, don't do it. I think it was a shot across the bow. That's just my personal opinion. An early warning sign, whatever you want to call it, to say, don't do it. Because I think the Father loves us that much to warn us in such a way that we've been told, we've been warned, we've been advised, and we've been informed that we need to just chill and stop putting our fingers in everybody's pies, and stop being stupid, and stop being so narcissistic and prideful, and, you know, getting involved in foreign affairs all the time, you know, and and just being really dumb, you know, just dumb. I don't know how else to say it. And I think it was a shot across the bow. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But that's my video on this. Take it for what it's worth. Take it to prayer. Take it to the Holy Spirit. Maybe I'm completely off my rocker. I talked to one person, totally disagrees with me off the bat right away. I said, no, one doesn't have to do with the other. We'll see. That's all I say. Just wait and see. We'll see. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm right. We'll see. Maybe nobody's right. We'll see what happens. So, all right. Y'all take care. Have a good day. Be blessed. Bye-bye.